todos. Estamos aquí para presentar los resultados de un estudio de la OCDE, que es el Programa Internacional para la Evaluación de Competencias de la Población Adulta. Nos acompañan, por una parte, el señor Yves Leterme, que es el secretario general adjunto de la OCDE, y del ámbito de la educación nos acompaña William Thorne, que es un analista, senior analyst de la OCDE, y Marta Encinas está también con nosotros, que también es analista de la OCDE. Y le voy a pasar la palabra a Yves Leterme.
Thank you very much. Since my Spanish is not excellent, I won't speak in Spanish. As a matter of respect for your very nice language, will be in English. So together with the colleagues Marta Encinas Martin and William Thorne, I'm honored to have the opportunity to be here this morning to present you the first results. In fact, release is planned for tomorrow, and you know that what we will tell you is embargoed. But the first results of the OECD survey on of adult skills here in Madrid, and it's of course a pleasure to be here with the State Secretary at this ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, last year the OECD, our organization, launched the so-called skills strategy. We launched this strategy in order to help countries to build the right skills and turn these skills into better jobs and better lives. There's a lot of work to do in that field. Today we are releasing results of our survey of adult skills, which is a first of its kind tool that assesses the depth, both the depth and the breadth of countries' talent pools. Secondly, how well the countries use these talents. And thirdly, what benefits they gain. At the OECD, we see this survey as a way of offering an important empirical underpinning to our ongoing work on skills. So the survey we are presenting today and tomorrow, and lots of other places tomorrow, in Brussels, in Washington, in Oslo, and so on, is, I would say, a kind of PISA for adults. You know, the PISA survey, which we will issue at the end of this year. Well, PIAAC is a kind of PISA for adults. It indeed provides a direct measure of adult skills fundamental to full participation in the relevant to life and work in the information societies and economies of the 21st century in terms of literacy, numeracy, and problem solving in technology-rich environments. So these three components, literacy, numeracy, and problem solving in technology-rich environments. These are skills that we describe as key information processing skills. The work gathers information on, the survey gathers information on how those skills are used at work and elsewhere. The survey should help countries set meaningful targets, benchmarked against measurable goals that have been achieved by world's leading skills systems. Ladies and gentlemen, anyway, a central message emerging from the survey is clear. Without the right skills, people languish at the margins of society, and technological progress does not translate in a country into economic growth, and countries simply cannot compete in today's hyper-connected global economy. The skills survey shows that proficiency in information processing skills really matters. Take employment and wages, for example, as an example. Adults with good literacy skills are much more likely to be employed than those with poor literacy, of course. This is as true in Spain as everywhere elsewhere. 3/4 of Spanish adults who score at the highest levels in literacy are employed, compared to just under half of those who score at the lowest levels. On average, across countries, across our OECD constituency, the median hourly wage of workers, the wage of workers who score at the highest levels in literacy, is more than 60% higher than the hourly wage of workers who score at the lowest. In short, poor skills severely limit people's access to work, but moreover to better paying and more rewarding jobs. Proficiency in these information processing skills affects more than earnings and employment. Indeed, in all countries, adults with lower literacy proficiency are far more likely than those with better literacy skills to report, for instance, poor health, to perceive themselves as objects rather than actors in political processes, and to have less trust in other people. In other words, we can't really, 2013 and in the future, we can't develop fair and inclusive policies and engage with all citizens if a lack of proficiency in basic skills prevents these people from fully participating in society. In your country, in Spain, adults scoring at the lowest levels in literacy have nearly three times the chance of those with a high level of literacy reporting poor health, and twice the chance of not engaging in activities such as belonging to a political party or volunteering. So the case for acquiring and maintaining literacy skills is clear, but the question is then, how do countries compare? In comparing countries, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to recognize that the proficiency of the adult population is, of course, a reflection of the past as much as of the present. In many countries, the educational opportunities for the generations who went to school in the 60s, the 50s, the 60s and the 70s were, of course, far more limited than they are for today's young people. Spain's particular historical context made it much less likely for the older generations of Spaniards to have completed a full secondary education than their peers in other countries, in most countries in the survey. This being said, even for Spain, the international comparisons remain instructive. The overall proficiency of adults varies between countries, as do the relationships between proficiency and characteristics such as age, social background. This information is vital for countries to review their policies and to learn from each other. Ladies and gentlemen, while looking at the results of the adult population as a whole, of course, is very important, on the other hand, looking at proficiency of subgroups gives a more nuanced picture. Let us take age cohorts, for example. The very strong performance, for instance, of Japanese adults is in part related to proficiency of adults aged 45-65, which is indeed much higher in Japan than in other countries. And young adults in Japan still score very well. However, their performance, the performance is similar to that of young adults in countries like Finland, like the Netherlands, and like Korea. In other words, these latter countries have been successful in boosting the proficiency of their younger populations. The good news for your country, the good news for Spain, is that the proficiency of young adults, so those aged 16 to 24 years, is considerably higher than of their elders. In fact, the gap between proficiency of the oldest and the youngest adults is the second largest in the survey, after that in Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, while this suggests that the quality of education has improved, dramatically improved over time in Spain, and that the younger population are at the same level than their peers in the US, for instance, and the UK, there is, of course, still room for continued improvement.